to pass themselves off as a Civil War history group, but as mentioned at our last meeting, we wouldn't have a Nazi troop marching as a World War II history group, and we shouldn't have a Confederate troop marching as a Civil War history group. White supremacy must never be honored and must be condemned in all of its forms, period. While I still haven't received a response from anyone to my last email from November 16th, at our last meeting on November 17th, I was told that this issue warranted a discussion between you all with Woodbridge Mayor John McCormick and his council members. Board member Dan Harris kindly volunteered to facilitate that conversation with the rest of the McCormick administration, including his colleague, Board Vice President Brian Molnar, who was absent last meeting, but who also serves as director of the Recreation Department and decides who does and who doesn't get to march in Woodbridge parades. So I'm here tonight on behalf of our community's oldest civil rights organization, hoping we will receive some good news for the new year, that this administration is indeed committed to anti-racism, and that the Confederate troop, group, whatever, will no longer be included in Woodbridge Township parades from 2023 moving forward. Mr. Molnar, if you'll please.
Is that your only question, Mr. Dombrowski?
Yes.
That's it.
That is my job as the recreation director, not my job as a Board of Ed member. I will not comment on that during this body.
Okay. Would anyone care to comment on that issue?
No, the board's not going to comment on that issue. Thank you, Mr. Dombrowski.
No, then you know what? I have 2 minutes left.
No, you forward.
No, I have 2 minutes left.
Mr. Dombrowski.
I have time.
Mr. Dombrowski.
Shit. You said you were done.
You were asked by the board president if you were done, and we respected that.
I'm not done. Okay, that depends on your response. This is wrong. This is unacceptable. And if you're okay with this, or okay with our students being subjected to marching with this group, then you're clearly not committed to anti-racism. Just as there is no excuse for your refusal to condemn the Proud Boys targeting our meetings, there is no excuse for your refusal to stand against a Confederate group marching in our town, especially with our students. I sincerely hope that for New Year's you consider making the resolution that instead of standing with a mayor who refuses to affirm that Black Lives Matter and who outrageously calls our nation's largest racial justice movement awful, you start exemplifying our school district's anti-racism pledge and start standing against racism in our community. Black Lives Matter. And I'll yield the remainder of my time for a response. Somebody's got to say something to this.
We don't have any comment, Mr. Dombrowski. You said you were finished. Let the next person speak, please.
I have 45. No, I'll take my full time. With all due respect, you have yours, I have mine. I'm entitled to mine.
That's not how it works.
That is how it works. I get 5 minutes.
No, you have 5 minutes, and then when you're done with your comment, you don't just get to sit there and waste it. Do you have anything else you want to tell us?
Okay, I'll tell you something, Mayor Bush. I'm a little disappointed in your hypocrisy. You called out the European Heritage Association when they marched in South Plainfield. Why wouldn't you call out the Proud Boys when they came to Woodbridge?
Respectfully, I'm a lawyer, and this is my client.
Okay.
Okay, and I represent my client. That's my responsibility under my rules of ethics. So please, I understand whatever you're saying to me personally. I appreciate what you're saying, but here I'm the attorney for the Board of Education. You got to respect that.
Well, the Highland Park Board of Education, you're attorney for them too. They passed a resolution against the power plant. Why did you say Woodbridge can't pass the resolution against the power plant? Can you answer that one?
We have no standing on that, and we won't comment on it.
Okay. Happy holidays, happy New Year. We got to do better in 2023.
Mr. Mullen?
Yeah, Mr. President, you know what? I think I should make some sort of comment. The 7th Virginia Cavalry, you do their history. I read their history too. Let's take it in the context of the gentlemen who marched in the parade. The gentlemen that marched in the parade did not fight in the Civil War. The gentlemen that marched in the parade do not have pro-slavery points of view. They are Civil War historians who are just portraying a regiment. No different than an actor on TV if he has a role of playing a Nazi or playing a Confederate soldier in a movie. There are a lot of actors that have played German soldiers. There have been a lot of actors that have played Confederate soldiers in movies. It's a role. That's all it is. You're talking about the person. None of these individuals who marched served in the Civil War. Let's make one other point. They did not carry a Confederate flag. They carried an American flag. They are just a novelty group. They're a historical group. Then Mr. Dabrowski said that I said they've been marching for over 30 years. The paper that I read from the script that I got from the Veterans Commission, was that they ran for 33 years the Civil War Living History Weekend at Parker Press that used to represent Union soldiers and Confederate soldiers, and it was a history about what the battlefield was like and what the soldiers had to live in a battlefield during the Civil War. And then he tries to bring my comments on the review stand to Ed McGuinn's comments from a council meeting in February, where all of a sudden he started to bring up the Confederate flag somehow, considering the Confederate flag wasn't even at the parade. The 7th Virginia has participated in many parades: Veterans, Holiday Parade, St. Patrick's Parade, to name a few. They are a novelty group, not slave-owning sympathizers. Mr. Dombrowski then says, well, why don't we have a Nazi group march? Don't ever compare the Nazis to the Civil War. Slavery was a black eye on this country, probably the worst black eye this country had. But the Nazis were a group that were out to exterminate a race of people through murder and torture. So let's get that straight. Mr. Dombrowski, you had your opportunity. You had your opportunity. Slavery was the worst black eye in this country, as I said. Horrible and inexcusable. When you look at a Confederate soldier, just go back to President Obama's speech when he was at Charleston after the murder in the black church, when he was given the eulogy for Clementine Pinckney. And he talked about the Confederate flag being the lightning rod. And you're absolutely right about the Confederate flag being the lightning rod. But he also said that by removing the Confederate flag from the state capitol, it's not an act of political correctness or to disgrace the valor of the Confederate soldier. So even President Obama, who was African American, recognized the valor of the soldier that fought for his country. Might not like his point of view, but he fought for this country. He fought for their way of life. It wasn't another country, Mr. Dabrowski. See, and this is the thing. Listen, and I'm going to sum it up like this. You also talked about that there were a lot of students that were at that parade, essay winners. They were there. They were there to celebrate the heroes that fought for our freedoms, who fought for us allowed to have this open dialogue we're having today. The same freedom you enjoy by not standing for the national anthem, by not standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. See, you like freedom of speech in your First Amendment when it pertains to you. But there are different points of view that go with that First Amendment. I don't agree with everybody's point of view and what they do, but that's your point of view. That's all. Let's not lose context that these were gentlemen. They were not Confederate soldiers. They are playing a part. That's all. They're not going out there. They didn't have slaves with them. They didn't have the Confederate flag. They were a novelty group portraying soldiers in a history group. Just like all throughout the North, they have Confederate groups, they have Northern groups. That's the Civil War. It's a fascination that this country has. If not, then why don't you ban Ken Burns, who did a documentary on the Civil War that was award-winning? It's there. It's part of our history. We learned from it. This is what we do. The 7th Virginia Cavalry used to have the Rhode Island group march with them, but unfortunately these gentlemen are up in age and some pass on. So that's what they're left with. So yeah, they marched. They didn't march in the holiday parade. Okay, does that make you feel better? I don't know. I don't run that parade. I run this parade with the Veterans Alliance. We go, we look at the applications that come in, and then we approve them. And that's it. And I'm not going to get into this debate with you because I didn't answer your email, because if you had emailed me as a board member about an issue your child was having in school with curriculum or something like that, I would answer. I'm not going to get back into this tit and tat with you over your political points of view and your social points of view, because it's never going to end. You will never be satisfied with the answer you get. And I hate to be this way, but everybody on this dais, and I know they're saying it to themselves, it's the truth. You will never be satisfied until you get the answer that you want.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Molnar. All right.
And I'm sorry for the gentleman who's waiting.
All right.
Good evening, Tom Maris, Fords, New Jersey. I tell myself, digressing from what I wanted to say, I just want to thank you. That was an elegant response to somebody that is a moron. He does this at town council meetings. He comes here, he parades you, he parades the mayor, he parades the town council with the same gobbledygook all the time. It's just pure race baiting, and you're right. He wants his First Amendment rights. Nobody else should have theirs. Thank you for what you said to him. I fully support it, and I think this town supports it. And actually, he's finding out nobody in this town has any credence to anything he has to say. But getting back to school business.